Hello everyone, welcome back. So today I'm quite excited. This is a video I have been wanting to film. This is a video I have been wanting to film for quite some time now, and I just now realized that I have the routine that I've wanted and that I've wanted to wait to make this video with until what? Do you understand what I meant by that? I'm sorry, I've had no caffeine today. Okay, so let's recap here. I've wanted to do a foundation routine video for a long time. Ever since I started my channel, I wanted that to be a video that I've wanted to do because skin is important to me. The way your skin looks is important to me, whether it's your skincare, your foundation, all of that stuff. And so I wanted to make a foundation routine video when I had a really good one down. And genuinely, up until this point, I have not had a good foundation routine. I change my products for my base so much, it is ridiculous. I change the foundation constantly. I've never found a foundation that I actually liked. Primers, powders, concealers, all of that, I always end up hating it for one reason or another. I am so picky because I don't like when your foundation looks worse than your normal skin, and that's often how I feel about it. I realized I finally have a routine that I've been using consistently. I've been using the same products consistently, and I was like, that means you can film a routine video because you use it all the time. And I was very excited. So I'm going to be doing a foundation routine video today. It is a full coverage foundation routine for dry, fair skin. Now, obviously, all of the products that I use can be used on any skin tone, but because I'm so agonizingly pale, excuse me, how rude. Because I am so agonizingly pale, the fact that I am paler than most of the popular pale YouTubers on YouTube, no shade to them, they are also quite pale, but I'm just paler. I wanted to show off the products and the colors that I use for someone as ridiculously fair as I am, because I know how frustrating it is to be a fair person watching another fair YouTuber and the products they use still not working for you because of how fair you are. Let's get into it. I'm gonna put my hair back. Usually, as you guys know by now, if you do watch my channel, if you're new, hi, hello, welcome. If you do watch my videos, you guys know that I typically do my eye makeup first, but because of this video, I'm not gonna be doing anything crazy for my eyes. Realistically, probably just gonna slap some mascara on. Excuse the gross ponytail, it jingles. I don't know if you can hear that, but it jingles. Best thing ever. A recap on what my skin is like. As you guys can tell, I am very, very pale. I have dry, acne-prone skin, so my skin is flaky and it has acne and it is annoying. So most of the time, if I'm wearing a full face of makeup, I need my stuff to be full coverage. So, and this is also a Longwear. I should add that into the title too. This is gonna be the longest title on planet Earth. It's a Longwear makeup routine as well, because when I go to work, I'm wearing my makeup for at least 14 hours a day, and it's really hot in the Ulta I work at. Longwear, it's not going anywhere. It's not creasing, it's not tacky, it's not going anywhere, but it still looks good. Let's get into it. I am already prepped and ready to go. I've got on my moisturizer, my serum, all of that stuff because I am more dry. Always, in order to avoid being cakey, always make sure that you have well moisturized and prepped your skin before doing your makeup. Let those products set in for at least 10 minutes. Typically my skincare products set in for at least an hour, just because I get up so early and I go to work like around noon, and I'm usually up at anywhere between 6 and 7 a.m. So make sure all your skincare is on, make sure you're moisturized. I am well moisturized. Let's get started. So let's start off with primer, ladies and gentlemen. The primer I have been going to and reaching for every day lately is the VDL Lumelayer Primer. Now this is something that is only available on Ulta and where VDL is typically sold. I don't know where else it is. I bought this off of Ulta's website. This is an exceptional primer. I love this stuff. It is marketed as a hydrating glass skin effect primer, and that is exactly what it does. It's got a little bit of iridescence to it. It's more of like kind of a cream. So for those of us with dry skin, that's lovely because it feels very hydrating. It does have a fragrance to it, so if you're very sensitive to fragrance, I would just be careful. It's not a strong fragrance, but it definitely has a fragrance. But I love this stuff. It gives the most beautiful glow to the skin, but it doesn't really affect the glowiness of your foundation. And so if you don't like glowy, dewy foundation, you can still use this primer. What I love also is that it gives, because of that really pretty glow, but it's not like a weird color, you can wear this without foundation. You can just wear this by itself. And honestly, I love doing that. If I don't feel like wearing foundation, I'll just slap some of this on, make my skin look like glass, and have a good old time. So I'm just rubbing the primer into my skin. Nothing crazy. I don't have any cool methods with this. Just really working it into the skin. I kind of press it into the skin around my nose because this is where my pores are kind of funky. I don't really know why. How is my camera already dying? How is it already dying? I will come back in a little bit when both my batteries are fully charged. So I'll see y'all in a little bit. So I'm not saying it's the next day or anything, but let's try this again, shall we? Let's get into the actual foundation part of this video. Thanks. I will be using a full coverage foundation. It's kind of like a demi matte, I guess, when I wear it. This is the Beauty Bakery Instabake Aqua Glass Foundation. This has been my go-to foundation for a good while now. Since I tried this, I'm in love with it. The palest color is exceptional. It pulls a cool tone on me, which is amazing because they actually understand that just because you're nearly translucent in color, that does not mean you have yellow undertones. And most brands, when they make very pale foundation shades, they make them with yellow undertones. And that just makes me look jaundiced, and I'm not a fan of that. This is a cool undertone. This is the shade 359C, so this is the palest shade in the Beauty Bakery foundation, and I love it. It is a full coverage foundation. I do build it a little bit in my cheeks where I'm very red and I'm very freckly. I adore this foundation. It looks so beautiful on the skin. She holds on really well all day, and I love it. It is a cruelty-free vegan formula, which is amazing. I just love this foundation. It's gorgeous. So I'm going to be applying that with my Real Techniques Beauty Blender. This is my favorite beauty blender that I've tried. I honestly like it more than the original Beauty Blender. No tea, no shade. I like it better. And it's $6. I'm just gonna pump a little bit of the foundation on the back of my hand. I don't need to mix anything into this one. The shade is beautiful. So I'm just very softly pressing the foundation into my skin and tapping motions just like you normally do with a beauty blender. I start on my cheeks. Some people start on the center of their face. I like to focus the majority of the product on the outer perimeter of my face and as little as possible in the T-zone where my makeup tends to break up a lot, because I've noticed that helps it not break up as bad. Please always blend down your neck. Even if your foundation shade matches perfectly, there are imperfections on the neck, and so if you just have a line of perfect skin, not perfect skin, it's gonna look weird and it's gonna be noticeable even if the shade is perfect. When you're using a beauty blender, you can use a brush or a beauty blender for this foundation. I personally prefer a beauty blender just because of the texture I have on my skin typically, like my forehead and where my breakouts are. The beauty blender tends to press it in a little bit smoother, whereas when I use a brush, especially with a full coverage foundation, it kind of catches it. And so there's a lot of buildup on those breakouts and like scabs and that kind of stuff. Sounds gross, I know, but welcome to having acne. So there's that. I typically use a beauty blender, but you can use whatever tool you prefer, just not your fingers. So I'm gonna build that coverage up a little bit. You can definitely see that this is quite full coverage for where it's at. I just like really full coverage because I like having my pores scream in pain and for help. Also make sure that you're blending back onto your ears, into your hairline, and of course down the neck. Because when you do full coverage, it does look like a mask. It looks like a mask. So when you blend it into all those areas, it helps it look a little bit more natural, because we still want to look like a human being. I know there are people out there who like the mask porcelain doll look. I personally don't. Everyone knows that I'm wearing a full coverage foundation because no one's skin actually looks like this, but might as well make it as natural as you can. So here's something. Let me know in the comments below, if you've made it to this point in the video, what you prefer more from me. Do you prefer my more in-depth educational videos, or do you prefer my fast meme, get it out of the way kind of video where it's vaguely instructional but it's more funny than anything? Which do you prefer? Because I've been having a hard time figuring out, based on my analytics, which people like more. I know you guys really like when Emily's on the channel, but Emily has a full-time job now and has no time for her friends. I mean, it's good because she's making money, so like, live your life, sister, but whatever. No, I'm actually very proud of Emily. Don't get me wrong, I'm very proud of Emily. Double check in your close-up mirror just to make sure you aren't looking a mess and everything is blended out really well. I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit. Also, before I do that, whatever product you have left on your hand or your palette or whatever, blend all the way down on your neck. Don't waste that product. Don't wipe it off. Use it. And this is okay if you do swiping motions onto the neck just to cover that area because it's so sheared out, but then it helps it look a little bit more natural. I know I'm looking like a mask. Hang in there. Let's move on to concealer so I stop looking like a crackhead. For concealer, this has been my go-to for a long time now. You guys know this is the e.l.f. 16-Hour Camo Concealer in the color Fair Rose. Love this concealer. So I'm just gonna blend that out with my beauty blender. The Fair Rose shade has a little bit of a peachy tone to it, so if you have any darkness under your eyes, it will kind of conceal that like a color corrector, and that's amazing. Let's grab that setting powder before we crease too terribly. And for my setting powder, I've been grabbing the Lancome Long Time No Shine Translucent Setting Powder. This has been the go-to. Very, very nice powder. It does oxidize your foundation ever so slightly, so keep that in mind when you're especially in your winter shade and you're very pale. It does ever so slightly, and that's why this isn't a perfect match throughout the day, because it does oxidize it tiny bit, because right now it's pretty much perfect otherwise. So I'm going to be taking, for my under eyes and for my mouth area, the Jeffree Star JS3 brush. This is, I think, what he intends to be his concealer brush, and that's what I'm going to be using for the powder. First, I'm going to blend out my eyelid that has creased already, and I do this one eye at a time because of how quickly I crease. If you have an eye shape like mine, don't think you're not going to crease like instantly. It's going to happen. Also, pressing the powder into the concealer, not swiping. Never swipe when you're using a brush on your liquid foundation or concealer. Never brush, pat. Blend down onto the cheekbone. So now I'm gonna blend out around my nose because my nose creased real bad. Always does, it's okay. I'm just gonna blend that out and then set it with my powder. Now what I tend to do, because we focused less foundation, I'm gonna focus a little extra powder. I know this sounds weird, but I'm gonna focus a little bit of extra powder and press that into the places I tend to crease really bad. So my smile lines, my upper lip, and my chin. I know this doesn't make sense when I say it, but I have noticed a significant difference in pressing the powder into those spots than just kind of dusting it over like I typically do with the rest of my face. I don't know what to tell you, it's just what works. I know everything here except for the concealer is high-end and expensive, but I have yet to find a drugstore foundation that works as well. Same thing with the powder and the primer. So I will eventually try and make a drugstore foundation routine, but I'm not gonna do that until I find products that I think genuinely actually work. Now, taking the Jeffree Star X Morphe JS2 brush, this is the setting powder brush, I'm just going to lightly press the powder into the rest of the skin. And we don't swipe here, we press into the skin. This also helps blur the appearance of pores because you're pressing the product into the skin, not just dusting over it. And so if you have any pores showing through, this will help conceal them. Definitely see that there's powder on the skin. There is a final step in the makeup that we will do to kind of fix that, and I will get to that, and it's honestly a game changer for me. It also is what incorporates our SPF. So I'm gonna go quickly finish up the rest of my blush, bronzer, highlight. I don't need to go into that. You guys see it in every tutorial I do, as well as my eyes. And then I will be right back for the last step in the foundation routine, and then we'll be done. All right, folks, I'm back. So I have done the rest of my makeup. As you can tell, we have everything done. The blush, the bronzer, the highlight, the eye makeup, which was very simple today. I didn't feel like doing a whole lot as far as eye makeup went. And then my lips. So, that being said, the final part of my makeup routine is definitely optional. You don't have to do this, but if you want to make your foundation look a little bit more natural, a little bit more blended, so there's not like, it looks like there's powder layers, because I used all powder, bronzer, blush, highlight, etc. You don't want it to look like there's layers of powder, which is completely understandable. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, depending on how lazy I am that day. But this is my favorite step when it comes to blending all of those products together, as well as adding your SPF into your makeup. Because if you are going out, which I assume you are because you're wearing makeup, but this is how you get your SPF. SPF is mandatory when you go outside to help from sun damage, burns, etc. Even if it is not sunny outside, which it is not today, it is very rainy, very cloudy, I still need to wear an SPF when I go to work. So, final step is my spray, setting spray sunscreen, which is like the best invention ever. I have the Ulta Beauty one. There are several other ones, but I got this one because it was like $10. And it is an SPF of 50. It is a rose water setting spray. And honestly, this thing is fantastic. It is a matte finish. So if you like more matte finish for your foundation, this will help with that. It's water resistant for up to 80 minutes, and it's UVA and UVB protection. A lot of sunscreen in it, which is fantastic. And what I like about this, because most sunscreens come in a cream or a liquid form that you would put on under your makeup, but the thing is, you have to reapply sunscreen every 2 hours in order for it to be effective, because of what it is, especially higher doses of sunscreen like an SPF of 50, that will wear off. And then there will be no sun protection anymore. And so you will be exposed to all of those rays that can make you age faster, sun damage, sunspots, etc. All the things we don't want. So when it's in the form of a spray, that's easier for when you're wearing makeup, because then you don't have to rub your sunscreen onto your full coverage foundation, you know? And that's why a lot of people don't wear sunscreen when they go out, because they're wearing a full beat and they can't reapply their sunscreen. This, however, you can toss in your purse and reapply every 2 hours, refreshen your makeup, and make it look snatched while having an SPF of 50. That's fantastic. So with this, you gotta give it a really good shake. So I'm gonna shake it up for a minute. And I'm gonna give myself a good old spritz. So it helps blur all of your makeup together. All of those powders helps you look a little bit more natural. As you can see, there's a little bit of a glow now. It will mattify, but I love the little bit of glow it adds to the skin for a little bit. So this you want to apply about 15 to 20 minutes before you leave, because it takes about 15 to 20 minutes to start working. Obviously, you don't want to apply it too early like I just did, because I don't leave for another 2 hours. So I will need to reapply this before I go to work. But let's do one more zoom, check out the makeup, see how gorgeous we're looking, and then that'll be it. Okay everyone, that is it. That is all for my foundation routine. I hope you guys found this helpful. If you can incorporate any of these steps in your foundation routine to keep it full coverage, long wearing, and flawless for as long as you can, yeah, I hope you guys like this. I hope you found it helpful, and if not, I hope you guys just enjoyed watching another person's foundation routine. I apologize for uploading a day late. I guess I'm just gonna be Jenna Marbles and upload every Friday/Saturday. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a thumbs up. It helps me know what kind of content you like. Also, if you did like this video and you want to see more of my disastrous content, make sure you subscribe, because, you know, then you can see it, then you know when I upload. Also, I try to upload every Friday. Sometimes it ends up being Saturday, depending on how life be, but make sure you turn the notifications on so you know when I do upload, because it's a little bit of a mess sometimes. That is gonna be all for today's video. I will see you guys in next week's video. See you later.